He gave very little attention to foreign issues. I want to get to that in a moment, but just to stay on this issue of his words matching his actions. Last night, for example, he said, well, we got to put an end to the outside influence of lobbyists, but he hired a bunch of lobbyists. He said he's going to we have to do our work openly. Well, he promised that 8 times that he'd put healthcare negotiations on C-SPAN. For example, he said, well, we've got to go down the path to earmark reform. He said that in the campaign too, and he signed a bill with nearly 9,000 earmarks. So, I wonder if these words ring hollow with as many people as they do perhaps with you and me. Do you think people are now getting it?
I'm sure they're getting it, Sean, thankfully. And, when he brought up the subject of lobbyists, I had to stop, and I had the speech in front of me by that time. They had faxed it to me. I had to stop and thumb through the speech to see if I heard that right. He had said that, quote, we've excluded lobbyists. And I thought, what am I missing there? He's got all those high-ranking officials who came from the lobbying world and have engaged now in closed-door deals with other lobbyists in order to get his agenda through. That's disingenuous.
I don't know if you saw the videotape yet. We had Senator McCain on the program last night before you were on, and I did not know. I did not see this at the time because, like you, I was reading along as I was watching because I had a copy of the speech. And Senator McCain, at one point, apparently they got him on tape saying, yeah, blame Bush. I mean, it seems to be their strategy, not just, throughout the campaign last year and throughout the entire year this year, but apparently going into the midterm elections. Do you think that is resonating with their base or resonating with the American people?
It is not resonating. People are scratching their heads going, okay, how long are we going to have to put up with this? Come on, knock it off. Move forward. We do need to move forward. There were so many things last night that left a lot of people just scratching their heads. Bottom line, he did not provide that enthusiasm, that inspiration that could empower Americans to fix these problems that we're facing ourselves versus relying on growing government to meet challenges. He did not. Fundamentally, though, I don't think that he can get there for us and with us, Sean, because that's not in his political DNA.
It's interesting. I'm listening to you say this because this is something that I have suggested, that I don't think he has it within him. I think everything in his background to me, Governor, suggests that he is a pretty rigid, radical ideologue. And I have seen no evidence in the past to suggest in any way, shape, manner, or form that I think that this president has any inclination towards ever changing or moving to the center. Now, he even suggested that in an interview with Diane Sawyer that he'd rather be a one-term president. So you think he's that married to his ideology? Is he that rigid in his views?
I think he is quite rigid, but this is all the more reason then that Congress steps up. There are good private sector businessmen and women who have joined the ranks of elected officials in Congress, even on the Democrat side. It's their turn now to have their voice be heard, to make sure that they're respecting that balance of power and yet not allowing President Obama and some of his advisors to ram down these anti-free enterprise approaches to meeting our challenges down our throats. We can't afford that, obviously. So it's Congress's turn now. We have high expectations for Congress. Step up. Let's see them do their job and balance out some of that power.
Politically looking ahead, and this is part of an ongoing discussion we have had after Virginia, after New Jersey, after Massachusetts. Now we've got an all-important midterm. Looking ahead, we have a little bit of intramural squabbles emerging within conservative ranks, the Tea Party movement versus some members of the Republican Party. What advice do you have for the Republicans if they would like to take back the House and be competitive in the Senate?
We need to do what happened there in the Scott Brown race. Look, no candidate is a perfect candidate. No candidate will ever not disappoint constituents because every candidate, every politician has personal views that they're going to may manifest via their votes and the positions that they take. But in the Scott Brown race, a good candidate arose. He perhaps didn't agree with everything that maybe a hardcore conservative would agree with, but enough people recognized this is what we need in order to stop the bad things that are coming out of the White House. We need him in there. We need to keep that kind of simplistic, if you will, thinking in mind as we go forward into the midterms. Let's get behind candidates who can agree with the principles, the planks in a platform that will put our economy and our national security, our responsibilities with national security back on the right track, and not look for that absolute pure perfect candidate. We're never going to find him. And seeking that, Sean, is what causes the squabbles.
Yeah, I think that's really well said, because I think if there's an intramural battle, it's only going to hurt the ultimate cause and probably help the Democrats. But I think if you do keep it simple, I always try and keep it as simple as I can. And if you support balanced budgets and fiscal integrity and energy independence, and you support a war on terror and a strong national defense and free market solutions to healthcare and education, those are really profound principles. If we would unite on them, we could argue about the smaller stuff later.
Hey, amen. And those are the planks in a platform that are going to get our country back into a roaring economy, a safer national security position. That's exactly what we need, Sean.
Governor, last point. So I had Michelle Bachmann on, Congresswoman Bachmann, on the program, and you saw that Arlen Specter viciously attacked her, and I said to her, I think you're the second most hated Republican woman in the country, and of course you being the first. And she said, no, I'm the second most loved Republican woman in the country, which I thought was a pretty good way to put it.
Yeah, that's good.
And then you're going to be campaigning for, I think I'm going to see you then when you're in Minnesota in April, and I think I'm going to be at the event that you and Michelle Bachmann are at, so I'm looking forward to seeing you then.
Ooh, this is going to be a dangerous combination of Michelle, Sarah, and Sean. We're going to have a ball.
Yeah, we'll just have to take a bet who gets the most protesters outside or inside the event when we're there. Governor, we always appreciate you taking time out of your busy day, and I know how busy you are, and it means a lot to us that you spend